Blessed are you, Jehovah our God, King of the universe, who sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam keshanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu la'asak b'nevei Torah. Please, Jehovah, make the Torah's words sweet in my mouth and in the mouth of all your people, the house of Israel. May we, your children, all of Israel, know your name and the name of your Messiah, Yeshua. And may we study your Torah simply because it is good. Blessed are you, Jehovah, who gave us the Torah of truth. Okay, we can skip this one because I have this one on the first slide in my slide deck. Kyle is going to, I'd like to say thanks to Kyle. I threw him a curveball this morning. And he totally juked it and then knocked it out of the park. But he's going to pull up a video real quick. If the worship team, if you guys want to sit down, you totally can. It's just a little short video. Before he pushes play, if you guys want to sit down, you totally can too. Do something a little bit different this morning. So I am not a doctor like Pastor Jeff. However, I do like to do little mental exercises to get everybody kind of ready. Abraham, will you move that pulpit back that way just a little bit so people aren't struggling? Okay, so our mental exercise this morning, and I'll speak for a second or two while people are still sitting down, is I want you to think back over this last week, maybe even over the last 2 weeks, or however far back you got to go. We're not going to dwell on this thought. We're just going to recall it from our memories. I want you to think of something that kind of stressed you out real good. Whether it was an unexpected bill in the mail, a phone call from somebody, or something like that. Maybe a little fender bender in the parking lot. Just think of something that stressed you out. Close your eyes, think of it real quick, recall it. Take a deep breath, blow it out. Let it go. We just wanted to recall it, all right? Now, that was something that happened in your life, your individual life, right? And what I want to do is with this mental exercise is I want to kind of help you put it into perspective. All right, Kyle, you can hit play. That's not my farm, by the way. As we kind of zoom out of Earth, you can kind of see how far away we are. We're thousands and thousands of light years zooming out. You can see the sun, all these other stars, galaxies, solar systems. You can see a gaseous nebula up in the right-hand corner. Now we're going even faster. Those are galaxies that we're going past. I'm sorry, those were solar systems. Now we're going out of our own galaxy. And those other lights out there, those are other galaxies. And we're really, really far away. Really far. And as you get farther and farther out, your perspective changes a little bit. And all these other galaxies are just little dots of light. Cool. Thanks, Kyle. And if you could bring up that picture of the atom. You guys didn't know you were going to get a sciencey lesson today, right? So now, whatever that bad thing was that you thought of a couple of seconds ago, a couple of minutes ago, how important does it seem now? Not super important, right? When we put things into perspective, it kind of changes the way we view the world around us, the way we see our life as we're going through it. Now, as we kind of zoomed out, and I was kind of describing it because I know we have April, she can't see the video, and so I don't want to kind of be unfair and not at least describe it. But now I have up on the picture, actually Kyle has up on the screen for me, this is a picture of an atom, right? And if you go back, in time to your high school days, science class, an atom is one of the smallest things that everything is made out of. So everything we just zoomed out from, the Earth, the galaxies, the solar systems, all that stuff, this made of this at some point or another, right? And you can see how even in some of the smallest particles in the known universe, it still kind of models how he built the universe, even though this is super small. You got protons, you got neutrons within the nucleus, and you have some electrons orbiting around the outside, right? A lot like our solar system. We have the sun, we have the planets, then those kind of orbit around, and the larger part, our galaxy, right? So even down to the smallest, one of the smallest pieces of our universe, you can still see the signature of the Creator. Now, I said all that to say this, and you can go ahead and start the slide deck, Kyle, thank you. All I need is my notes, really. And today we have kind of like a little bit of a visual representation to help us put things into perspective. And what my prayer is today is that maybe somebody here, maybe somebody watching us online or something, this will help you think about things differently as you go down your path that God has sent you on, and think of things a little bit differently, and hopefully and prayerfully make your life a little bit different. Okay, so if you want to stand up, you can. If you want to stay seated, you can. But this is our Psalms 91 because we need our medicine each and every day. You who live in the shelter of Elyon, who spend your nights in the shadow of Shaddai, who say to Adonai, my refuge, my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. He will rescue you from the trap of the hunter and from the plague of calamities. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. His truth is a shield and protection. You will not fear the terrors of night, or the arrows that fly by day, or the plague that roams in the dark, or the scourge that wreaks havoc at noon. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it won't come near you. Only keep your eyes open, and you will see how the wicked are punished. For you have made Adonai the Most High, who is my refuge, your dwelling place. No disaster will happen to you, no calamity will come near your tent, for he will order his angels to care for you and guard you wherever you go. They will carry you in their hands so that you won't trip on a stone, and you will tread down lions and snakes, young lions and serpents you will trample underfoot. Because he loves me, I will rescue him. Because he knows my name, I will protect him. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him when he is in trouble, and I will extricate him and bring him honor. And I will satisfy him with long life and show him my salvation. All right. You all can sit down if you want. Abraham, if you would come up here, please. Okay, good. He's cool. So I have a assistant this morning. So the title to my message this morning is Let It Go. Just let it go. And it's kind of weird how you were singing that, and I didn't tell anybody what my message was, except for maybe my wife. She walked in while I was making it. And all the rest of this week, or previous week, And today, people have been kind of alluding to things like that. Even Chuck said some stuff when I was bringing in all this junk in here. And so it's entitled "Let It Go," and I want to start off with Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all of you who are struggling and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, because I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Right? All right. Go to slide 3 now. Okay, so first off, just a tiny background on myself. Spent a couple years in the military, so on one of my adventures in Iraq, I know what it is to be in a super hot place. I think somewhere I still have a picture of a thermometer that said 140 degrees, and that was in Iraq. So I feel Pastor Kenny, and I also kind of laugh as we sit in the air conditioning just a little bit, like, hee, that's it. So I feel your pain, Pastor Kenny, if you're watching. Okay, so one of the first things before we ever rolled out of the gate to do anything, went on a mission, whatever we were supposed to do, was we do a comms check, communications check. We make sure that our radios are working, because if we get lost, if we make a wrong turn, or we start getting attacked, or whatever happens, you gotta have communication with the people that are there to support you if you need help, right? So, talk with him daily. Do your comms check before you even walk out the door, maybe even before you throw your covers off and get out and put your feet on the ground. Do a comms check. Talk with him daily. He's always waiting to hear from you, and he has the right answer. He has the right answer. It might not be your answer that you want, but it's the right answer, okay? We should always strive to be in a constant state of prayer and communication with Yah. And by that, some of you have heard me say this before. I don't mean like you got to walk around on your knees with your hands together like this and everything, but always be in communication with him. Whether you're walking down the street and you're just like, dear Lord, please help me remember what in the world I was supposed to be doing today, right? Or, Father, I'm not feeling too good about this situation. Guide me, lead me. Or, dear Lord, if there's somebody I'm supposed to run into today, give me the right words to say, right? So just something quick. It doesn't have to be like the crazy, people we see sometimes, light shining out of the, and everything like that. It's not anything crazy. Just talk to him. He's your Abba. He's your friend. He's your Father. He's your Creator. We just saw, I know that was a digital representation, because I literally did not fly out of the universe to get that video. But had I done that, it would have been truly awesome. And you can still see the power of God, even though it's only imagined. And I would even pose that it's even greater than that, because that came from the mind of a person, of a man. We don't even know what exactly is out there, right? Because we're not the creator, but I do happen to know him. So always be in prayer, because there's always subtle guidance that the Spirit is trying to give you. And sometimes the best way to pray is just to be quiet and listen, right? So anytime we start to go through this mission that we call life, always start out with a good line of communication and a comms check, right? And then I've got Psalms up there. I cried out to him with my mouth. His praise was on my tongue. Thank you, Kathleen. Had I cherished evil thoughts, Adonai would not have listened. But in fact, God did listen, and he paid attention to my prayer. Blessed be Yah, who did not reject my prayer or turn his grace away from me. And then with the story of the withered fig tree in Mark 11:23, yes, I tell you that whoever does not doubt in his heart, but trusts that what he says will happen, can say to this mountain, go and throw yourself into the sea, and it will be done for him. All you got to do is comms check, right? Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, trust that you are receiving it, and it will be yours. Okay? So, constant state of prayer, constant state of communication. Always be talking to the manufacturer of this universe, right? Now, if you go to the next slide, please. When we get ready for the day, right, we have to put on our armor, right? And so now I know this is Probably not the armor they wore back in those days, however, I don't have a time machine, just a spaceship. So as I call him out, Abraham's going to put him on, okay? So the first thing that he's going to put on is he's going to put on the belt of truth. This one actually still has a little bit of mileage on it. So as we get ready for the day, we're doing our comms check, we're putting on our armor, we're ready to go out and do battle, right? Because even though you're just going to work, and maybe you work in, a boring office, right? Well, it's not that boring, but it is boring. Boring office, you still have to do work. And it's not necessarily, you still have to do battle. It's not necessarily battle out here in the physical, right? Because he told us that. We're not battling against flesh and blood alone, but against spirits and evil forces and principalities. So the battle that we're fighting each and every day is internal. It's in our mind, right? Our perspectives, okay? So the next thing that he's going to put on is he's going to put on the breastplate of righteousness, right? And yes, those are plates in there. Level 3, in case anybody wanted to know. They're not light, right? Armor back in those days, they didn't have cool alloys like titanium and stuff, or maybe they did, I don't know. But it was heavy. You had to be a man to wear those things. So he's got his breastplate on, right? Now he's going to put on his feet the boots of readiness. Those just zip up. These ones are super easy because they just zip up. Modern day technologies, right? So he's got on his feet the readiness that comes from the good news of shalom. The next thing he's got is a shield. Go ahead and get your shield. A shield of trust with which he'll be able to extinguish any flaming arrows that come at him from the evil one, right? And then he's got the helmet of deliverance, and all this came out of the complete Jewish Bible, so if it's not exactly the same words that we're all used to, just be aware. Now he's got his bump helmet on. He's ready to do some serious stuff, but he's not full. He's protected right now, but he's not armed yet, right? Then the next thing that comes is the sword, right? And that's our word. Go ahead and get your sword. What? Oh, you can take it off. So he's got all of his armor on. He's ready to go out and do spiritual battle, right? Whether he works in an office building or whether he's putting on shingles on a house, he is locked, cocked, and ready to rock. Now, I'm going to set my notes down just for a second after I read this to you. But before you go out, you got to kit up, right? You got to put all your kit on, all your utility stuff and everything so that you're ready to go out, right? Make sure you put it on and make sure that it fits. So a couple of things. Make sure that your armor is in good condition. That's one thing we always do. We call it PCCs and PCIs in the Army, pre-combat checks, pre-combat inspection. So your leaders will come by, make sure you got your plate in the front, make sure you got your plate in the back, make sure your bump helmet's good to go, make sure all your other stuff is buckled and tight and it's on and it fits, right? Because the last thing that we want to do is go out to do battle with a half-truth. We don't want to go out with only half righteousness. We don't want to go out with, and righteousness is the quality of being morally correct and justifiable and being upright. So some people, not naming any names, they go out with a half righteousness because their definition of morality is skewed. And that's something that we see happening a whole lot today, is not to get on a sidebar, but there's a whole lot of self-identified morals, self-identified righteousness, and self-identified principles that people guide their own life on. They're not using what Yah gave us in his word. They're identifying their own correctness, right? Some people would say political correctness, but I would just say it's their own correctness. And that's because they're worshiping themselves as their own God, which is idolatry, and don't do that. You can't go out with half readiness, with 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in heaven. That doesn't work. If you've known me for any amount of time, we all have heard the verses, "Don't be lukewarm, I'll spit you out of my mouth." So people think that there's a third position. You can either serve the devil, you can be lukewarm, or you can serve God. And I would propose to you, there is no lukewarm. He says lukewarm because that's how we understand it. He said lukewarm because we're going to try and mix a little bit of the world in with a little bit of God in there and still be okay. You know, I want to go to church on Sabbath, but I also want to get torn down and drink a bunch of alcohol on Sunday. But it's Sunday, so it's cool, right? Or, you know, I want to go to church on Sabbath. I feel good about myself. I feel good about everything. But as soon as I go back to work on Monday, I'm cussing out that person. I'm going to run that person off the road because they brake checked me. And that guy over there, I'm not even going to tell you what was going to happen to that guy, right? And it could even be something simple, like I'm going to walk over to the fridge in the office, and I don't know whose cake this is, but I'm going to eat it. That's stealing. That's stealing. Whether you robbed a bank or ate someone else's lunch out of the fridge, you took something that didn't belong to you. And this is not a message about that. However, put it in perspective. He didn't give to Moshe the 10 Commandments, and the top 5 are the worst ones, and the last 5 are the not as bad ones. No, he just said, don't do these. And then there's some in there that he said, do these. Right? So there's no degree of sin as far as that goes. No half faith. Maybe God will. No, either he will or he won't. Right? And sometimes as humans, as the created, sometimes the pot doesn't know what the potter's intent was. And so because it doesn't fit in our definition of how our day should have gone, we go, well, maybe God just didn't do that because. No, it wasn't part of the plan. Remember, he said he already knew you before you were even stitched together in your mother's womb. He already knew the steps you were going to take, the mistakes you were going to make. And the beautiful thing is that he still gave his son for us. Still. And I stand here as a person who is continuously being worked on. I'm probably like God's old 1976 AMC Gremlin that just constantly needs work, whether it's body work or something in the engine. I don't know. But he's always working on me, and I am thankful for that. Right? And also, no mostly salvationisms. I don't know if that's a real word, but I'm going to kind of coin it. You either accept him or you don't. In John 14:15, he says, if you love me, keep my commandments. So you either accept him or you don't. And this ties back to when Pastor Jeff said, if you want to see some serious contention among believers, talk about the Sabbath. This is why I've told people before, if you really want to know and get into the truth, just look at the Sabbath. Set the rest of the word aside for a moment and just look at the Sabbath. Why do we why do we keep it? Why did he give us a day of rest? Why did he say, keep this and keep it holy? And why was it so important to the Israelites all the time? Maybe not all the time. There were some complaining people at times. However, it was super important. I haven't been to Israel, but I have heard that the entire place shuts down on Sabbath. Even maybe slightly before. Everybody's running around getting ready, right? So if it was not that important, then why is it so important? Just ask yourself those things. And then last but not least, no dull swords. You don't go into battle with dull swords. We never went out to go and get in a firefight and took all the bullets out of our magazines. We didn't go out there with, just our PT shorts on and a good attitude and say, all right, you terrorists, come and attack us. We're ready, right? Not super smart, not a good thing to do. All right, go ahead and go to slide 4. Okay, now, this is where we're going to get into some of the serious stuff. And I usually go with like military pictures and stuff because it's what I know. But it's also something like if you go onto the Google machine and you're like, show me a picture of someone carrying a heavy gear or heavy load, usually these are the ones that come up. I haven't seen too many people carrying a whole lot of gear like just going camping or anything like that. So the picture I put up here is one where you can kind of see, not only does he have a rucksack or a backpack, but he's got a lot of gear on the front. It's got a big heavy helmet, knee pads, all kinds of stuff hanging off of him. But what you don't see is that he is bearing the weight of freedom for someone, right? Maybe he's not fighting for the whole country. Maybe he's just fighting for the people that he loves back home, because those are the ones that he knows. But that's the spiritual realm. That's the realm we don't see. And then we're about to talk about that here in just a second, right? So in life, a lot of times we not only get up and we get ourselves ready for the spiritual battle of the day, but then we go ahead and we start the spiritual battle. We don't wait for Satan to attack us. We attack ourselves. And I say that with 3 fingers, for all the fingers pointing back at me too, right? So when you get ready for the day, you execute. You walk your path day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. And don't forget that as long as you are seeking the Creator and trying to have that relationship with Him, you will experience attacks from Satan. I'll say that again. You will experience attacks from Satan as long as you are trying to seek that relationship with the Creator. Because remember, Satan's number one mission is to keep you from your Creator by stealing, killing, destroying, wreaking havoc in your life, and doing all that stuff. Even distractions can be an attack. It won't always be a full-on war raging. Sometimes it's as simple as just a thought, like, you're not worthy. Why even try, right? Why even try? You're not worthy. I can tell you from experience, not just myself, but a lot of the guys that I served in the military with will say, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for anything. The things that I've done, I'll keep doing good things because I want to try and somehow make peace with my demons that I carry around with me, and my burdens that I carry around that I won't let go for whatever reason. But I'm not worthy, right? Just thoughts like that, fleeting moments in time. So if we go to slide 5 next, please. This is where we stack on our extra burdens. This is where we start that fight ourselves. And the crazy thing is, we're not even fighting the devil on this one. We're fighting ourselves. So most people wear a lot of extra gear. And why do we put on extra burdens? Why do we stay in the world when we leave for work or school or we go out on a date? And we let the things of the world jump on us, right? And a lot of times it's things that we created, right? So don't let those things jump on you. Let the stuff of the world stay in the world. We have to be here because we have missions. We have tasks that God has set forth for us to do. We have a path that we have to walk, but we're just in it for a minute, right? We're just in it for a minute. We don't want to embrace it and be like it and look like it and smell like it and all this other stuff. You see some of these churches out there, and I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but they sound just like the world. And by sound, I mean music. Something as simple as music, right? So you have to come to terms with leaving the stuff behind, leaving all of the worldly stuff here. I get it. We do have to use money, and I particularly would not like to walk 27, 28 miles to work every day, so I do enjoy my truck. However, if Jesus was coming up the driveway and he's like, it's time to go, I'd be like, woo, all right, your sandals are mine, let's go. I don't even have to go in and get anything ready. Let's do it, right? But we stack on those extra burdens anyway. So what we should be trying to shoot for is existing on or near the same plane as Yah. And I'm not trying to be facetious or anything like that, but that should be our goal. We probably will never get to that plane until it's time for Him to call us home, but we should try to exist on that plane. Because do you think God cares who is which way the president's flying today or how many balloons are over what country? He doesn't care. It might actually even be funny to him. I don't know. If he has a good sense of humor, he's probably laughing at it. Like, look at them. They're just looking at this balloon. Everybody's looking up in the sky, trying to shoot this balloon down. Crazy, right? So if we said we already were there, we would be haughty and arrogant. He's not worried about who said what or how someone drove next to you. His goal, ultimate goal, is to collect us unto himself. Now, how can he do that if we're wandering around just like the little kid in the Walmart, right, or Target, wherever you shop, and he doesn't know, and his mom doesn't know where he's at, and she's trying to collect him up because she's got a cart full of stuff, and they're trying to get out to the parking lot so they can get home and order pizza or whatever, right? So up here on the slide, can you go back one? Boop. So here's some of the extra stuff, and just kind of take a moment to think about this. I'll kind of read through some of this stuff. But this is some of the extra gear that we like to carry as we get ready for the day. And keep in mind, we've already put on all of our armor, right? So we can go out. But then we want to add on hate for people or things. Fear of the unknown. Maybe fear is a sign of a weak faith because you don't think God can take care of it. So you fear it. You're scared of it, right? Worry. When is the government economy going to collapse? War, worldly treasures. We're worried about, he who dies with the most toys wins, right? Here's a good one. Regret. Everybody has one or two things they might regret. I would definitely be in that crowd. And we carry those things with us, right? Stress. Maybe you got a crabby boss. Maybe you got some dumb coworkers. Mandatory overtime. Maybe you're going into house foreclosure. I hope nobody is here, but those are some of the things that can stress you out. Greed. Your paycheck is not enough. You got to keep up with the neighbors. They just put in a swimming pool, or they just put an addition on their house, or he just pulled up in his house with a brand new Hummer or whatever. Unforgiveness is a big one. Holding on to grudges, right? Someone did you wrong at some point in your life. You held a grudge. And even though you say, oh, hey, how's it going? Hope your day goes good. Inside, you're like, I hope you fall down the stairs, you stupid person, right? Fake persona. So you're not the same person at home as you are at work. And I think I probably misspelled something. But you're not the same person when you go to work as you are at home. You come home and you're like, oh, I love you, everybody's loving you. You go to work and maybe your countenance even changes. And I mean, if you ever walk around a military installation, it doesn't take long while you figure out everybody looks like the way they do. They're up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they've done more PT than anybody has ever done at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they all walk around just looking, and you can even tell them, hey, how's it going? And they'll be like, oh, hey. So your countenance might change. You're not the same person at work as you are at home. So you got to figure out which one the real one is. Sadness, depression, relationship problems, self-esteem. You have either too much, you think you are the bee's knees, or you have too little. And those people are easy to pick out because they're always like, well, everybody's, better looking than me, or better at this than me, or whatever. So keep an eye out for that burden. Spite, going out of your way to hurt people. Maybe you just have a mean spirit. I don't know. Conceit, you have to be the most or the best or the beautifulest or everything. It's a competition. It's I am me, right? You're worshiping yourself. Addiction could be alcohol, could be drugs, could be cigarettes, could be food, could be watching things on the internet that you should not be watching, could be addicted to daytime soap operas. There's probably a few people out there like that. It's something you can't do away with. Oh, I would hope that God would make a special concession for chocolate. I will pray about that, and I'll get back to you. But addiction, things that you can't live without, stuff that clouds your mind. Things where, and if you put it like this way, if whatever it was that you're addicted to was on a tray over here, the brand new, whatever it is, Lamborghini, pack of cigarettes, whatever it is, and Yeshua was on the other side of the room going, come on, it's time. Which one? Where are you going? Where are you going? What's more important? So if you look back and you turn into a pillar of salt, you'll know which one was important, right? That was my Sodom and Gomorrah joke for the day, right? This one's tough. Unequally yoked relationships. As I was looking for the right zoom out of the universe video, YouTube always throws on those dumb commercials right before you can watch whatever you want to watch. You can be like, oh my God, I'm trying to figure out how to disarm this nuke. Please enjoy this commercial. It was like, it was a gal, and she was like, some of us Christians are just looking to find the right person. I'm like, well, the internet is not the right person to do it. Maybe this setting would be more appropriate. But in the end, and this is what I've even told my own daughter and my sons, God has someone that he's already preparing for you, and you have to be in communication with him, comms check, so that way when that person gets there, you don't miss the boat. And then he's got to reset it back up because we're too stupid to realize, oh gosh, that was the right one. We're too busy like, well, the internet told me that you're supposed to be wearing furry boots and short shorts and a tank top, and that's what's beauty. No, what's beautiful is whatever he wants for you, right? And he's not going to put you with somebody that's going to drag you down. You should always be building each other back up. So sometimes unequally yoked relationships can be all that extra stuff, right? If you're unequally yoked and you're a believer and your spouse is not, and you go to work and you turn into a different person. You go home and you turn into a different person. You go out with your friends, you turn into a different person. So which one is the real you? You got to figure that out, right? And then vengefulness. Somebody did you wrong, and you not only want to spite them, but you're looking for vengeance. I will tell you this, and maybe offline you'll find the backstory. I was vengeful for a long time. I wanted vengeance for things. And it not necessarily in the United States. But that was a burden that I carried for a long time, and it was a heavy burden. That's probably why I'm 200 pounds right now. But those things can drag you down, right? So make sure I'm on the right page here, otherwise it'll be weird. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my demonstrator right here, and I'm going to start handing him some burdens. And I want to kind of caveat a little bit. We didn't practice this. A matter of fact, I think yesterday was the first time I told him he was going to help me with the message. So this is completely unrehearsed, but I think kind of doing it just raw. I'm thinking we're going to see what we're after here. So bear with me. I'll try to keep the microphone on. So here's his earthly burden carrier. Go ahead and put that on. Notice he put down his shield and his sword. Oh, Lordy. He doesn't know how to put on his burdens.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you're on the back side. There you go. Oh, okay. All right, now he's ready to put on his earthly burdens, right? Boop. Okay. You're ready to go out, right? Okay, let's hand you a little bit of self-esteem problem. I know Abraham doesn't have a whole big problem with some self-esteem, right? Now let's hand him some addiction. Oh, he's going to be smart and put things in his pocket. Okay, cool. Let's see how this goes. I hope you're wearing a belt because it's on the internet.
Well, I got a belt of something.
Right?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to carry it here.
Okay. Let's hand him a little bit of worry. Is he going to be able to pay those bills, right? You want to do anything different with that? No? You can figure it out? Okay, cool. Now let's hand him something that's a little more hefty here. How about some unforgiveness? Yeah? Okay. How about hate? Here's your burden of hate. Okay, now, He's ready to go out, right? Ready to go out for the day. Here's your sword. Can you carry it? Just yes or no. Can't carry it, right? Here's your shield with which to extinguish the fiery darts of the devil. Can you carry it? Here, maybe like hold it. No? Okay. You can put all that down. And then you can sit down if you want. So some of those are some pretty heavy burdens, right? You can sit down. Take it with you. Cool. Right? And like I said, I wanted that to be unrehearsed because, if you notice, the first thing he did when I started handing him his burdens was he put down his shield and his sword. And it wasn't even a big burden. I'd have to rewind the tape to see which one I said first, but it wasn't big, right? Then he started kind of figuring it out, shuffled it around, put this one in my pocket, boop. And then even if he would have picked up his sword and his shield, once I handed him those last two heavy burdens, could he have wielded the sword and the shield to defend himself and attack back? No, absolutely not. So why do we do that every day? Every day we get up and we put on the whole armor of God. I'm ready, Lord. Throw some enemies at me. And he goes, all right, cool. Let me be right back. I got to check the schedule for what's on today. If it's a fender bender in the parking lot followed by Karen at Target. Or, I'll be right back. And then while he's gone, we go ahead and we put on all those extra burdens. We're like, I hate this person. Stressed out because I got to pay the bills. If I get a chance to be vengeance, I will be vengeance incarnate. And then we go outside and we smoke some cigarettes and put a dip in and watch something that we're not supposed to watch on the internet. And then, on all these extra burdens. And it could even go so far as like, for the folks here who have seen Miss Odette, and I love you, Miss Odette, if I can use you as an example, she carried around one of the bigger ones, hate, for a long time. And I will jump in that boat and row it for you because I did it for 20 years. Filled myself with hatred for 20 years. It was a heavy burden, heavy, heavy burden. And Miss Odette put it on every day, and I put it on every day. Mine just happened to be camouflaged. Hers was covered in sequins, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the same burden. It's the same burden. Just like there's no scale for sin, there's no scale for these burdens. If you're vengeful, you're vengeful. If you're hateful, you're hateful. If you're stressed out, you're stressed out, right? So, what we have to do, and I think this is on the next slide, and that's just a few burdens. We got to drop that extra cargo. We got to drop that stuff. Let it go. We have to give it to Yehovah. Why is it hard to give it to him? Do we not trust that he's bigger than all of our problems combined? Did I not just show us a video, and I'm talking to myself too, did I not just show us a little graphic representation of the universe? He created that. He made it. There was no Home Depot. There was no Lowe's back then. He hadn't made those yet, but he made the entire universe. So if he can do that, I'm pretty sure if we hand him those burdens, he can handle it, right? Now, we as humans, sometimes we lack the amount of faith needed to trust that he's going to provide everything for us, right? We think that, okay, God, I need you to provide for me, so I'm going to go in the gas station and buy a Powerball ticket. I'm going to go out to my car, and I'm going to say, Dear Lord, give me the numbers to put on the card so I can win $1 billion. And you know what? Even if he did, your problems wouldn't stop. Yeah, you could pay off your bills. The kids have even asked me before, like, what would you do if you won the Powerball? Because, we talk about it. Everybody talks about it. Maybe not everybody. I don't know. And I was like, first thing I would do, pay the house off. Right? Wait a minute. Now I got to backtrack. I'm like, wait a minute. That is not being a good steward, is paying my house off. We'll pay everybody's house off, right? Then we will buy a C-17 Galaxy. We'll put Lowe's in the back of the C-17, and we will go finish all these churches that they can't finish over in Africa because they don't have Lowe's and Home Depot. But my problems would only be beginning, right? I'm pretty sure I'd find out I have family members that I didn't even know existed. I'm pretty sure this charity and that charity and these people and those people and this foundation and that foundation would probably go, please donate to our foundations. And then here I'd have to go. I'd probably have to hire somebody just to Google them and find out if they're actually worth giving anything to. So money is not a problem solver. But what it does say is that he will never send us through something that he doesn't think that we could take or get through, as long as we trust in him. He's not going to be like, you know what, I think I'll throw a second divorce at this guy, followed by 2 illegitimate children that he didn't know he had, followed by a house foreclosure, followed by a car accident, and Karen at Target. And let's see if he can do it. No, it's not a scientific experiment. He already knows what you're going to do. What he wants to see is how you're going to do it. Are you going to get through it carrying all those extra things? Because that's hard. Or are you going to get through it by handing him all the extra stuff and then trusting that he's going to give you the tools, the attitude, the joy, the everything that you need to get through it? And I say joy because we're supposed to be thankful for everything we get, right? Here in America, I know we have a holiday specifically dedicated to sitting around a table with plenty of food on it, and we give thanks, right? What if there wasn't plenty of food on it? What if we didn't have a table? Would we still be thankful, right? This isn't in my notes, so I don't even know why I write my notes. Sometimes I don't follow them. Even as an Army instructor, I didn't do that. But last week on our way home, and I'm thankful for Pastor Jeff. Last week on our way home, about 3.5-ish miles from the house, the truck starts beeping, bing, bing, bing. Your coolant is over temperature. And it started to shut down. So I pulled over, and we have all the seat belts are full with people in my truck. So I'm like, oh, God, what is the lesson I need to learn now? Please help me learn it super quick. Because out of my family, I'm not sure how far they can ruck without dying. I know how far I can. Actually, I never really found that limit. But with a couple of foster kids and my regular kids and the wife being in her pretty shoes, not comfy shoes maybe, I don't think we could have got very far. And it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't remember if it was hot or cold or what. It was kind of cool. It was medium. Zeke said it was medium temperature. But I don't think we could have made it home without a little bit of tribulation, right? So me being who I am, I'm already trying to diagnose it, troubleshoot. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Google. I'm on everything. And Amy's like, let me just call Pastor Jeff and see if he can come get us. And he showed up in his Mercedes and drove us home. Right? And then I went back and got the truck. But I didn't lose my temperature. I didn't lose my cool, my wherewithal. And I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back, but sometimes, even when you're in between challenges, he'll throw you a little challenge just to test you and see if you're still as sharp and still as refined as before the other challenge. And lo and behold, it was just a little sensor in the back that had went out. It was 100,000 miles or so on there. And I looked it up, and they're like, yeah, it goes out all the time. It's just, of course, it's the one that's like back behind the engine up against the firewall, and you have to take the wheel off and the cover and everything to get to it. But, I just was like, you know what, I even though it's a little bit frustrating to try and get back behind because I got to take everything apart to get to it, I'm thankful I have a truck. I'm thankful. Let me zoom out a little bit and put it into perspective. Sorry, I got to get back in the camera. Let me put it into perspective. I'm thankful I have a truck. I'm thankful that the auto parts place had the part that I needed to fix the truck. I'm thankful that God gave me the wherewithal, the intellect to fix it. And let me zoom out a little bit more, right? I'm thankful that he put me on a path where I learned about certain principles and things like that I knew how to diagnose it and I knew how to fix it. And then let me zoom out a little bit more. I'm thankful that he gave me a dad that taught me how to do all that stuff when I was younger, right? I know I don't look very young, but he gave me a dad that taught me those things when I was real young, right? Kind of set those things in motion. So I'm thankful all the way back to when I was Zeke's age. And that's kind of what the exercise was, to put things into perspective. I wasn't thankful that my truck broke, right? I don't know very many people that would be like, oh, thank God my house burned down. But what I am thankful for is all those things that I just expressed to you. And so hopefully that changes your perspective about being thankful. If you weren't already that way, changes a different way you think about how to be thankful. I'm not thankful that terrible things happen, but what I am thankful for is that God is always there to pick us up. Yah is always there to give us the strength to get through those things, give us the family, the friends, the kahila, and all that stuff, and Pastor Jeff and Pastor Kenny and the worship team and everybody that can help us get through that. All you got to do is do that comms check, right? So the point is to trust in him and in the power of his might. And in Ephesians 6:10, it says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. So, when you go out and your feet hit the floor and you put on your helmet, your breastplate, your sword, your shoes, your belt, don't put on any extra stuff. He's going to give you everything you need. Everything you need. Take off those additional burdens. It does take a little bit of mental and physical effort to take those burdens off and keep from putting them back on. I'm sure, I can't speak for Miss Odette, but what I can speak for is about myself, right? So I told you all that I filled myself with hatred for a long time. I didn't just wake up one day and be like, I don't hate those people anymore. No. Even to this day, I still fight with some of that stuff. I might not even be expecting it. Walk into somewhere and you hear someone speak with a certain accent or something like that, and you're like, I bet you're a terrorist. No, he's not. No, she's not. It's just somebody trying to buy some eggs and for $8 a dozen now. There's differenter things to be upset at now, right? I think, can we go to slide 6? Oh, let me read those. Yeah, I already read that. Okay, so, yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Thank you, booth people, for being patient with me. So be free to run your race. When you unload all those unnecessary burdens, you're free to carry out his mission and walk the path that you're supposed to be walking, right? All those extra burdens can weigh you down and even cause you to miss out on what his plan is or was for your life. So if you're carrying around hatred, and maybe you're supposed to talk to a person that might be of a specific belief or religion or race or creed or color that you hate, you missed out. You missed out and you failed on that one mission. Not your whole life, but y'all had a task for you and you didn't complete it. And I'm pretty sure somewhere around the end, we're going to have to answer for all those things we messed up. So I will probably just be like, I'll go last. I don't want to hold anybody else up. I don't want anybody to be like, good God, we've been at this for a minute. I'll be like, anybody else need a water or like a chair or something, right? There'll be a couple of my brothers there with me. But unload those burdens so that you're free to carry out his will, his mission, and complete those tasks that he sends your way, right? Paul and Timothy wrote to the people in Philippi. Don't worry about anything. On the contrary, make your requests known to God by prayer and petition. Comms check. And with thanksgiving. Then God's shalom, passing all understanding, will keep your hearts and minds safe in union with Messiah Yeshua. In conclusion, brothers, focus your thought, and sisters, focus your thoughts on what is true, noble, righteous, pure, lovable, or admirable, on some virtue or on something praiseworthy. Keep doing what you've learned and received from me, what you have heard and seen me doing, and then Yah, who gives peace, will be with you. Pretty powerful, right? So those people in Philippi got a wisdom bomb dropped right on them. I hope they listened. Right? There's also Yeshua gave some woes to the Pharisees, right? The Pharisees and the lawyers. And if you don't know what a Pharisee is, it means somebody who is self-righteous and a hypocrite. These were the people that were putting extra burdens on people in those days. And nowadays, we still have people putting extra burdens on us. They just don't do it in the flesh. They're doing it on YouTube. They're doing it on TV. They're doing it on any of those other like social media things, stuff like that, anything with a screen. They're putting those burdens on you. What are those burdens that they put on you? Body image, new fads, material possessions, money investing for retirement, right? We see how the retirement scheme is going. News, sports, education, right? You can't get a job unless you're educated. Want to bet? Right? This is probably a loaded question. Anybody watch the news? Do you feel burdened by all that garbage? I don't even watch the news no more. I just kind of I go to my channels on YouTube with people who are looking for things that the news, writ large, is not covering, just so that I can be aware of what's happening. Not so I can be like, oh my God, did you see what the Russians are doing? We know what the Russians are doing. They're doing the same thing they do all the time, which is being not nice to people, right? But guess what? There's people who are not Russians that are being not nice to people. So what does it matter in the grand scheme of things? Zoom out. What difference does it make if we invest a bunch of our emotions and a bunch of our spiritual energy into those things? It's robbing you of your joy, robbing you of your ability to carry out missions and tasks for the Creator, right? Okay, so why do we accept these burdens? They start out as suggestions, but we end up turning them into realities, right? The new hotness out there, right? I kind of got caught up in it a little bit when they're like, Ford's going to put out a new Bronco. And I was like, I'm probably going to buy 3 of them. I can't afford it, but I'm going to buy 3 of them. And then they came out, and it was a huge disappointment. I was like, what happened to it? Did you guys forget to feed it? It's tiny. That's not a Bronco. Stupid TikTok challenges. They utilize the diminished intellect and lack of morals and ethics, and they're getting people to do stupid stuff, right? Like pour cold water on your head. Doing stupid things like dancing to little music montages or whatever, and they're barely wearing any clothing, right? Doing stuff like just to get views and likes and stuff, riding their skateboard and then they crash into a wall. Or one person pushes the other person in a shopping cart straight into a door or something dumb like that, right? And they're like, new TikTok challenge. Hey, here's a new TikTok challenge. Go do something to help somebody else. Go cook your neighbor a meal. Or find that senior citizen down the street who has a hard time getting to their car and be like, hey, you know what? Give me your grocery list. I'll take care of it. Do something nice for somebody. There's a TikTok challenge right there. And don't put it on video. Like all those people, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I am. If you videotape yourself doing something nice for somebody, are you really doing something nice for somebody? Or do you just want people to realize that you're looking like you're doing something nice for somebody? Do something nice for somebody and don't expect anything back. Because you know who's always recording you? You know who's always watching you? You know whose opinion and like and subscribe really counts? The Creator. He's the one that's why. Because you know why? Because he told us to do it. He told us to take care of the fatherless, to take care of the widows, to take care of the less fortunate. Are we doing it? Or are we just TikToking it, right? You can, Pastor Jeff, you can totally use that term if you want. So instead of listening to those things, what we should do is our comms check, and we should be listening to the Ruach, because he's our communication with the Father, right? And I have a long thing here. Do I got time? No, I don't have time. Okay. So I would implore you, read through Luke 11:37 all the way down to 46, because that's where Jesus kind of gets on to the Pharisees and the lawyers, scolding them for putting extra burdens on people and telling the people that you got to do this and you got to do that. No, you don't. If it's not in the Bible, you don't got to do it. Or if it is in there and it says don't do it, then don't do it. Easier, right? God said don't murder people. It's pretty easy. I did it today, right? I didn't do it today. I didn't not do it today. Didn't not do it today. Double negative, right? Just kidding. I'm glad everybody has a good sense of humor here. Except for Zeke. He's falling asleep over there. So go ahead to slide 7. Okay, so let go and let the Ruach HaKodesh define you. Let him communicate to you what the Father's plan is for your life, so that way you know who you're supposed to be, right? Conduct a self-assessment. Ask yourself what's important to you Monday through Thursday. Why do I say Monday through Thursday? Because on Sabbath, sometimes we get here on Wednesday night, but on Sabbath we forget all that. We go, we come, we praise and we worship. We enter into the Spirit, and it lasts Sunday because most of us don't work on Sunday. Some of us do. But then on Monday, what does everybody go? Wake up, you make your cup of joe, your alarm goes, you're like, oh, great, I woke up before my stupid alarm. And then you go, and you get in your car, hopefully it starts, and then you go to work after you put on your armor and all your extra burdens, right? But conduct that self-assessment. See what's important to you. Then always don't forget, and I can't stress this enough, do your comms check. Stay in contact with the Ruach HaKodesh and let the Spirit of the living Yah define who you are and what path you're supposed to be going down. Each and every day, make contact with the Spirit. Ask, find out what's on the agenda. Maybe it's an individual that you're supposed to be a witness to. Maybe it's an appointed time you need to make. Maybe it's a personal growth event that you're going to go through. But stay in contact. Stay in comms with the Spirit. If you're carrying all those extra burdens, it's going to cloud your mind. It's going to cloud your judgment. It's going to distract you from your mission. When we look back at what we were created to do, it's pretty simple. Originally, and hopefully Pastor Jeff will agree with me, or maybe he'll tell me something different, because I didn't go through all the theology stuff like that. I just know what I read. But our original task, our original mission was to take care of the garden. And then Adam and Eve screwed it up for the rest of us, which is why we're here now. But we're going to make the best of what we got, right? So that was our original mission. Our original mission wasn't to go to work 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, some of us 8 hours a day, lucky people, right? Pay taxes, watch the news, get stressed out, then have a barbecue, then watch the news some more, get stressed out some more, and then have to feel like we got to do TikTok challenges, and then you go out to buy pants, and the only pants they make are those stupid tight pants because that's the new fad, and you can't find anything that fits. Or you go out as a lady, and the only clothes they're making are inappropriate, or you got to look like buy the old lady clothes. No offense to any old ladies, right? But those are the stressors. Those are the extra burdens that we created for ourselves as human beings, right? But we can't let those distract us from our mission. Over time, we as sinful humans have created all the extra stuff that we carry around. But it's only when we truly let go and give all of our burdens to him that we'll be fully mission capable and 100% ready for any and all tasks that he might have for us. And it happens in a couple of different parts. I put 2 parts, but then I wrote 3. Can we go to slide 8? Yep. Is that 8? It's on the lower right-hand corner, but I can't see it on this one. But give your burdens to him. Now, he's going to give you rest, but he's going to take all your burdens from you. He's only going to ask you to do one thing, and that's just be obedient, right? And then go ahead and go to slide 9, please. Boop. Okay. So the three parts that we have to do is we have to identify the burden, look into our own life, and identify our stressors, our things that are weighing us down, keeping us from him and keeping us from our joy with him and everything in our worship. Then we do a comms check, right? We tell him, hey, God, I'm giving this problem to you. Me, give it to you, right? His solution is going to always be far better and way more effective than any solution that we could possibly come up with, to include winning the $1 billion Powerball lottery ticket, right? And then, and this is kind of a step, not step, stand by. Stand by. Watch him go to work in your life. You may have a little action that you got to do, right? If your truck gets stuck in the mud, I'm sure he could speak to your truck and say, get out of the mud. And it probably would have to. It would have to. However, God might actually have made a tree fall in the woods a few meters in, and all you got to do is go collect a few sticks, throw them under your tires, bingo, bango, off you go. Truck is unstuck. But he already set that up. How did he know that? Weird. And the bottom line up front is just let it go. No buts, no ifs, no ors. Just let it go. Let it go. God, I'm going to give you this burden, but I'm going to put it back on tomorrow, so I need it back, right? Okay, God, I'm going to not hate today, or if you would rather, I can not be vengeful today, right? We always try to make these deals, and we want to pick and choose what burdens we want to keep putting back on ourselves instead of just letting them all go, right? Do I still not have time? I don't know. Did I get it? Okay. I'm going to do it. Pastor Jeff, don't get mad at me. I'm going to read Psalms 55, the entire chapter to you, okay? All right. Listen, God, to my prayer. Don't hide yourself from my plea. Pay attention to me and answer me. I am panic-stricken as I make my complaint. I shudder at how the enemy shouts, at how the wicked oppress, for they keep heaping trouble on me and angrily tormenting me. My heart within me is pounding in anguish. The terrors of death press down on me. Fear and trembling overwhelm me. Horror covers me. I said, I wish I had wings like a dove, then I could fly away and be at rest. Yes, I would flee to a place far off. I would stay in the desert. I would quickly find me a shelter from the raging wind and storm. Confuse, Adonai, confound their speech, for I see violence and fighting in the city. Day and night they go about its walls. Within are malice and mischief. Ruin is rife within it. Oppression and fraud never leave its streets. It almost sounds like it was written for today. For it was not an enemy who insulted me. If it had been, I could have borne it. It was not my adversary who treated me with scorn. If it had been, I could have hidden myself. But it was you, a man of my own kind, my companion whom I knew well. We used to share our hearts with each other in the house of God. We walked with the crowd. May he put death on them. Let them go down alive to Sheol, for evil is in their homes and also in their hearts. But I will call on God, and Adonai will save me. Evening, morning, and noon I complain and moan, but he hears my voice. He redeems me and gives me peace so that no one can come near me. For there were many who fought me. God will hear and will humble them. Yes, he who has sat on his throne from the start, for they never change, and they don't fear God. My companion attacked those who were at peace with him. He broke his solemn word. What he said sounded smoother than butter, but his heart was at war. His words seemed more soothing than oil, but in fact, they were sharp swords. Unload your burden on Adonai, and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved, but you will bring them down, God, into the deepest pit. Those men, so bloodthirsty and treacherous, will not live out half their days. But for my part, Adonai, I put my trust in you. That's Psalm 55. And the first part almost sounds like, if you were watching the news, almost sounds like what's happening today, right? So that's my lesson for you today. And I hope and I pray that it has helped you possibly change your perspective on your life and take a inward look and perform that self-assessment and find out what are the burdens, what are the anchors that you're trying to drag through the earth as you go to work and school and wherever you go each and every day. So remember, be free. Be free to run your race. 100% fully mission capable to accomplish any and all missions and or tasks that the Creator may ask of you to do. Let those other burdens go, all of them. And like I said, as I talk to you, I'm pointing all the fingers back at me too. So that is what I have there. All right, cool. Okay. So, Kyle, that was the last of my slides. That's all I got. So we will have the children come up. Yeah, you want to get the weights? You can do some overhead press? No, don't get the weights. I don't want to explain to Pastor Jeff why the floor is all dented up. Not that you couldn't lift it, but you shouldn't. All right, children, come on up. We're going to pray for you. I'm going to put this sword back in here. I knew you would. Okay. All right. Father, we come to you today, Lord, and first of all and foremost, we thank you, Father, for being our Abba. We thank you for being there for us and for bringing us here, for setting aside a day for us to rest, Father, and unload all those heavy burdens. Lord, we thank you for these children, each and every one of them being a miracle in and of themselves. Father, we ask that you put your hand on their life, guide them, protect them, lead them, and always provide the path in front of them, Father. Watch over them, give them strength to go through life, Father. Give them clarity in their minds, and we just praise you and we thank you in Yeshua's precious name. Amen. Kyle has Pastor Digital Kenny. Thanks, Pastor Digital Kenny. All right. Jehovah, he who exists, kneel before you, presenting gifts, and will guard you with a hedge of protection. Jehovah, he who exists will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards you, bringing order, and he will provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. And Jehovah, he who exists will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you, and he will set in place all you need to be whole and complete. May Jehovah grant all the desires of our hearts, fulfill all of our purposes and all of our petitions. May Jehovah hear from heaven, quickly answer all of our requests, save us in the day of adversity, and in the name of Yeshua the Messiah, defend us from our enemies, from poverty and from bondage. Shabbat Shalom. We forgive you, Kyle.